Oh, thank you, Jay. I appreciate it so much. Do I do a podcast? No, I do not. That's actually something I'm working on, though. I would love to. But that is something that I'm definitely trying to develop and would love to do in time. It's a lot of work. Yeah, for sure. I'll definitely post an announcement if and when it ever happens. Um, but until then, I do have a YouTube. Hello, Kate. Sent you an invite.
Hello.
Hey, I don't see your video.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure that out. I don't see it either.
Here, let me X you out and then I'll re-invite you, okay? Okay, let's try that again. Invite. Okay. So, yay.
Got it.
There we go, success. That happens for some reason. I'm not sure.
Well, I figured it out. It's kind of hidden at the top. If you don't click one of those things really quickly, if you just hit accept, it will accept without the video because it automatically checks the video. It's really easy to miss the first time.
For sure. No, I get it. It's a lot. I get it. I'm so happy you're here.
Sorry, it's been a crazy week. Had dance recital and everything. I got an
I
email
get it.
like so I still don't know, but I got an email 2 days ago. Poland is back on, so I may be leaving to Poland soon. Don't know
That's
for sure.
awesome.
Gonna depend if I get the emergency passport, but I may be headed out in the matter of like a week or two.
Heck
Maybe.
yeah, that's amazing. How
Yes.
long are you going?
I don't know. They said it could be anywhere from weeks to months. We don't.
Ugh, I'm so jealous. I still have COVID.
Oh no.
Yeah, I still testing positive. I was like, be fine.
I tested positive for over 2 weeks, and as a healthcare worker, my boss was like, "Yeah, but you can come back after 5 days." Like I have pneumonia.
For real?
Yep, they're like it's only 5 days, and I ended up with what they call COVID pneumonia. So I went back after 7, but yeah, when I was feeling a little bit better. But yes, they had to go back, and I was still testing positive, and I was frustrated.
Okay, I'm glad it's not just me because I was like, am I like gonna be like Typhoid Mary? Like, is this my
No,
life now?
some people last like I was still testing positive over 2 weeks out. So
Okay, that makes me feel better. Um, so if people are just joining, welcome. So I have adaptivekate here, and we are going to, she has a really compelling and fascinating story. I tell a lot of stories about fraud. A lot of them have some Munchausen's cases as well, and Kate is actually a survivor of Munchausen by proxy. So she is sharing her story, and I think it could be hugely helpful to anyone else who is either a survivor or has been witness to it. Yeah, so thanks for being here, Kate.
oh, no problem. And I have those pictures this time, so we get some more people on. Definitely can explain with the pictures.
Oh, for sure. Yes. And even if like you can't watch the entire interview, I will be posting this on my YouTube. So you can watch the full interview there as well. Yeah, so I'm excited to get started. Let's do this.
Okay.
So, Kate,
Yeah,
tell us a little bit about you right now.
just about me.
Just about a little about you. And then we'll get to like the the cool stuff.
Okay. So my name is Kate. I am a below knee amputee. I lost my leg due to my mom having Munchausen by proxy, which we'll get into that story. I am an EMT. I've been a volunteer firefighter. I'm currently not volunteering as a firefighter anymore. I stay too busy with work. I work as a role player for the military. I am most days I'm a traumatic amputee, kind of convenient. Um, so I do that for mass casualty medical training for the military. And I have a daughter. She's 7. I'm a single mom. Yeah, that's pretty much. I'm 28. I'm 28 years old.
Amazing. Amazing. So, tell us from the beginning, how did it start? I guess that's kind of a vague question. How did it go? Tell us a little bit about your mom. Just tell us a little bit.
My mom was so she was not diagnosed herself with Munchausen by proxy.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them are in denial. It was first learned that my mom had Munchausen by proxy because of my oldest sister. So initially, when I was a kid, I actually did believe something was wrong with me because I was groomed to believe something was wrong with me. So supposedly, when I was 2 years old, I broke my foot, and a doctor put a cast on my foot, cutting off the circulation and causing a pressure ulcer. Or so I was told, but I mean, most of us can't remember to age of 2, so I don't know if that is true. I will say records that I was able to obtain say something completely different.
Mm-hmm.
um, it says that I went into the hospital within a 3-month period for a broken arm, a broken foot, broken arm, broken fingers, burns on my legs. My parents say that that was all made up lies to cover up what they had done. Um, that this actually has also come from my dad. He believes that it was a cover up. Again, I don't know. I was a kid. I don't know if there's any truth to that. I just know these were in the Department of Juvenile Justice records. As an adult, what I do find really weird is I did not see a doctor from age of 2 to 8 for this supposed foot injury. From age 2 to 8, I was a normal kid. I played, um, I rode my bike, I did normal kid things. Like I could tell you that there was no issue with my foot that I can recall up until when I was 8 years old. I was riding my bike one day. I fell off. I sprained my ankle. And next thing you know, I ended up in a wheelchair for over a year. That I did, and I could walk fine. I just sprained my ankle, went in, and then my mom said the doctor said I had to be in this wheelchair. She got churches to help out. I got a custom wheelchair. She made it my favorite color, lime green at the time. They had churches building us like a wheelchair ramp. She got all this sympathy, but I could still never figure out why I was in a wheelchair because I could walk fine. Like my ankle healed. I wore just an ACE wrap. It wasn't even broken. When my wheelchair didn't fit somewhere, she would just tell me to get up and walk. I would sneak and walk in the middle of the night. I tell you guys, it is really bizarre. So after I got out of the wheelchair, I started wearing leg braces. She said that they said I had to have this leg brace, so they made it to where my foot could float. I'm gonna show you guys what my heel looked like at the age of 8. So before any surgeries were done. So this is on paper, so it's a little hard because I don't know why they printed this. It's just dry skin on my heel, guys. It's just dry skin.
I think like that's what my heel looks like probably 95% of the time.
Yeah. So it was something that like if I put lotion on it, it did not even look like that. Like it looked even
Right.
like if I just put some lotion, every once in a while on like summers it would crack a tiny bit. I don't remember it causing all these problems that my mom claimed it did.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and like I said, I didn't see a doctor for it from age 2 to 8. And if this happened at 2 and it was so bad, you would think I would need to see a doctor then. And surgeries didn't begin on my foot until I was 12. And that's after we had moved away because she took me to a doctor. I won't name doctors or where, but she took me to a doctor in Tampa, Florida. And they had gotten to basically an argument with my mom saying that there was nothing wrong with me and they couldn't believe I was in a wheelchair. And long story short, not too long after that, we moved out of state to another state. I did learn that my mom did have Opal, guys, I can't talk today. Open child services claims throughout the state of Florida. I guess I wouldn't say throughout, but two places I know of for sure she did. I didn't check every county that we lived in though, and some records were destroyed because they don't have to keep records after 10 years. But actually, where I found most of my records were in the Department of Juvenile Justice Center. It's where I found records that pertained my medical stuff, some of my medical stuff, but the stuff that she was being investigated for. I could not retrieve my records from when I was 2 from the hospital. They claimed that put the cast on wrong. It had been way too many years to get that. So unfortunately, I don't know their side of the story except for the couple of pages that's in the juvenile records. Um, but I will say definitely their story and those records are not matching the story I've been told my whole life about how that happened.
Mm-hmm.
So move on. With after I wore the leg brace, I also learned I had scoliosis. That was true. I actually did have scoliosis. It was much more minor than it was said to be. I did
Mm-hmm.
back brace for 3 years for 23 hours a day. If I had been properly diagnosed, I definitely probably would have not needed the back brace that long. It was bad, but it wasn't that bad.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's really just a curvature favoring my right side. Um, so after we moved out of state, she found a doctor that would do surgeries. They first started with a skin graft. Um, it wasn't supposed to be a skin graft. So my very first surgery, I was upset because I was told they were going in and doing one thing, and I came out with stitches in my groin and had no idea what had happened. And they changed it in the middle of surgery to a skin graft, and they removed skin from my groin and put it on my foot. And since my parents have the say so as a kid, I had no idea until I woke up, and I was not happy to have stitches in my groin and on my foot.
Wait, what part of your groin?
Like up by my vagina. Like, like right in the crease at your bikini line. They cut there and they took skin. Yeah. So they said that it was more of a hidden place, but now I like forever have a scar right there on my bikini line.
Oh my God,
Yeah,
that's such a
right.
sensitive area.
Yes, right. It's right there in your groin.
Yeah, like your underwear is always like the
Yeah. It's a scar there now. So, um,
How old were you?
I was 12. 12 and I was either 12
Oh,
or 13. Around that was my around the age I was for my first surgery.
that literally just sent like it like shot chills up my spine.
Yeah, it was very upsetting because I didn't know they changed their mind in the surgery. I mean, I would have liked to have a say so where they were gonna pull skin from, but
Of
it didn't
course.
happen. So they put skin over it. I have a picture of the after of that. I think I have a few here. Once we start, no, that's staying home. Okay. So as you guys saw, it was just dry skin. That's what it started before surgeries.
So it was just like, was it like a skin graft or did they actually take like a slice of skin? Because I know that that's like
Mm,
they're two different things. Because like the skin graft is almost like kind of like patchwork. It looks like.
I actually, so yeah, I can show you. It's that's what it looks like. It's a skin graft. So I feel like my foot looked weirder after the skin graft. And I do have to tell you, so I'm gonna add a funny part to this. There was a hair that used to grow out of it because they took it from my groin. So like this little hair would grow out of my heel.
How funny.
If we wanted just to add humor to it, yes, we probably did though. So this is the skin graft. So we go. I actually felt like it looked worse than it is in the dry skin, but
It
that was
did. I mean, it's not bad. It's just like it looks worse. Yeah, it looks
yeah,
like
it looked worse. I felt like the dry skin was better. So I have dry skin all the way up until about 12 years old, and then this was my first surgery that led my foot to look like this.
no, like it looks more irritated. It
Yeah.
looks like way more painful to be honest.
So then they did some surgery after that to stretch the skin. I don't even know, but then they made it worse because
Ugh.
like what's this? Okay, so they made it worse with whatever they tried to
Oh,
stretch the skin.
Kate,
So they made it worse when they tried to do this was in 2007. Okay, so
that's
I
your
lost it like
heel?
yeah. I lost it like in 2010, and this was in 2007. So this was after one of the other surgeries. I don't know which. Yeah, I don't know. This is after one of them. Oh, it gets
Oh.
worse. It gets way worse. I do want to say if there's anybody in here who has a weak stomach,
Yeah.
there are some pictures that are coming that are gross. I'm just gonna say that there is a giant hole in my heel, so it is bloody, and I do want you guys to know that. So after that surgery, I had 5 or 6 foot surgeries before my amputation. They decided that those surgeries did not work. At this point, my heel is getting worse, but I could still walk. Oh, I forgot. This was the ugly, stupid leg brace I had to wear, by the way.
That is enormous.
Yeah, it was really, really ugly. And what was weird is I wore this for a few years, and then right before surgeries, they decided I didn't need a leg brace anymore, and I didn't wear anything. Like, I just started going to school, no leg brace, no back brace, walking normal. They did put me in a big cast one time because they thought, I don't know, something about wearing the cast for a while and being off my heel. It was a really dumb thing. I didn't break my foot, but I had to wear a walking cast for a little while too.
You
I
know,
don't.
and I'm sure it's just like at some point, like for during all of the like doctor's appointments, did you just like check out when your mom and the doctors were talking? Like,
Yeah,
did
so
you
I
feel like
wasn't
you had
allowed.
no control?
Yeah, I wasn't able to talk, and if I did slip up and talk, a lot of times my mom would get them to leave the room and talk to them. But we'll get into why the doctors never believed me either, because when I did start talking, it didn't go very well. But so I want to show you guys the side of my foot after the skin graft real quick to show that it was actually getting worse, like with these surgeries. Now I could still walk. In the end of all these surgeries, I actually still could walk fine. But
Mm-hmm.
so the next surgery, this was the final one before. I have a few pictures here, but this is where it just gets the worst. We're just gonna jump to this. So I had a couple different surgeries. They thought it was a good idea to cut out all of it. So all the work they did done, they were just like, we're just gonna cut it out and heal it with the wound vac. So why not?
Oh my God.
So they decided they were gonna cut it all out, and they put a wound vac on. By the way, guys, if you've never had a wound vac, this is incredibly painful. I had to have a nurse
Oh,
come out to my house 3 times a week to rip this out of my heel as it healed. And this is the wound. This is the pump that all of it went into as it was healing. I had this was the one that was attached to my bed. I would have to change between this one and a portable one, so I could go out in a wheelchair with a portable one.
Kate, how old were you at the time of those photos?
I was 15 in this one. Yeah.
Oh my God, you poor baby.
So this was my last surgery before they amputated. So I will say this actually healed. I do not have a picture of that healed, though. It did heal. My heel did look worse than it did in the beginning with all these surgeries. That did close up, and I did walk fine. I do have pictures of me with my friends, even like me wearing flip-flops as a teenager before my surgery. When they decided to amputate, they scheduled my surgery 6 months out. I did not use anything the whole 6 months. I walked like a normal teenager. I even jumped off a bridge into a lake with my friends into Lake Hartwell. I would jump off the rock quarry. There was actually a time where my friends were not so sure that I was being honest about losing my leg. They thought that I was making it up because I was doing fine. I did report some stuff about my mom. Child services had come out to the house. Neighbors had called child services. I actually reconnected with an old neighbor from TikTok who recognized me. Other neighbors had called child services. My mom had a way with her lies. I don't know why, but child services always gave her a heads up before they came. I don't think that she knew anybody. I just think that they were kind of lazy. I don't know. I hate to say it that way, but she always knew when they were coming before they got there. There was no surprise visits ever. So a little backtrack. What I didn't share is what I haven't shared yet is my older sister was also a victim of Munchausen by proxy. I hate using the word victim, but survivor, I guess, would be a better way to say it. My sister ate out of a feeding tube for many years that she never needed. She was on dozens of medications that she was never needed, and it turned out that it was all the medications that were killing her and making her really sick, and that there was something wrong with her. And when she went to live with other family, she was actually fine and became healthy. When it was learned about me, I had suspicions. I said things, but when I started talking, I ended up in psych wards. I ended up on a lot of psychiatric medications. I ended up drugged out of my mind from my mom, making me feel like a zombie half the time. I would just say it ended badly trying to fight against her always for me to the point I gave up. Like I knew nobody was going to listen to me. She had all these mental health records on me to make it seem like
Yeah.
I was psychotic, and so that all got put into my file. I mean, there's stuff that I was diagnosed with that I don't have that I still had to fight even today. So because some of the psych records just kind of stick with you forever. But unfortunately, that is what my mom did, and I lost my leg in 2010, and I had the weirdest reaction when I woke up. I asked him. I couldn't feel my leg. I had a nerve block, so I couldn't feel anything. I woke up, and the first thing I said was, "Did you do it?" They all looked at me like, "Why are you asking? Did I do it?" And I lifted up the covers, like, "Yep, it's gone," and I just put them back down. So it was hard, losing my leg at 16 and stuff. And I always had this feeling that it didn't need to happen. And every time I tried to fight, nobody would listen, to the point I had to give up. Um, it really sucks being like, my mom would sit on me and force pills down my throat and then make sure I swallowed them. Um, I, there's a lot of bad things that we could talk all night about what she did. But unfortunately, nobody listened until after the fact, and then it was, there's nothing they could do because she wasn't caught in the act. And I know that she feels like I hate her. I've heard that. I haven't talked to her in years, and I wouldn't say I hate her, but I want nothing to do with her, and I don't want her in my life. And to this day, she's still in denial and does not believe there's anything wrong with her, despite all of the evidence that there is.
Right.
But they're in denial. Like, I don't think I've met a Munchausen by proxy survivor where their mom believes that they have Munchausen by proxy.
Did your mom, do you know if she had like any history with Munchausen's herself?
Um, I don't know. My
Mm,
mom had a like terrible upbringing, so most of the time they
mm,
say, well, I will say like she's got issues I hear with Munchausen to herself now because she's got nobody to do it.
mm,
That she's turned on herself. Um, like I know she faked cancer for a little while, and some other things, liver disease and some stuff. I couldn't even keep up for a little while, but I'm pretty sure that people like doctors have caught on. I don't think she's getting treatment that she's tried to get. She would also overdose on pills often to mimic symptoms to get attention to. So
goodness
that was
gracious.
something. But as far as her upbringing, they say like a lot of people who end up with Munchausen by proxy, they do it for the attention, and
Mm-hmm.
sometimes they start believing their own lies. They say, I don't know. I mean, because there are times that I feel like my mom was just blatantly lying, and she knew she was lying. I don't think it was believing her own lies. She was just actually lying to
Mm-hmm.
get her way, get surgeries that I didn't need.
Mm-hmm.
But um, she did have not a great upbringing. I mean, her mom used drugs and alcohol, and she was neglected a lot. And maybe that's why she so desperately wanted attention as she got older. But that would be the only thing I could really say that I know.
So, someone's asking what disease your mom had. So, she had something called Munchausen by proxy. Kate, do you want to share but like the difference between Munchausen and by proxy or factitious disorder?
So they do. It's more commonly known as factitious disorder now. They changed the name,
Mm-hmm.
but so Munchausen by proxy is it's generally between a mother and their children. Not saying it can't happen with anybody else, but most commonly, 9 out of 10 times, it's a mother and their children, and they intentionally make their kids sick. Whether I mean they drug them. Some of them have gone as far as poisoning their kids. And they mimic signs of sickness, lie about medical records, make up injuries that never happen, to get treatment that is not needed for attention. And
Mm-hmm.
it's thrive on the attention they get off. My mom would get churches to pay her rent, do free stuff. She got all the government help in the world, like anything she could use to use our disabilities to get something, she would get it. And
Um,
what they had let her. Okay, and then the other one, Munchausen, which is they just affect themselves and do all those things to themselves to intentionally make themselves sick or lie about symptoms. Like they'll Google symptoms and then claim they have those symptoms to try to get diagnosed with things that they don't have.
mm-hmm. Yeah. So some pretty like notable cases, or a really notable case was probably the Gypsy and Dee Dee Rose Blanchard case. Um, that happened, or that broke a few years ago. But that would probably be the most
Most,
noteworthy
yeah.
example in
I
the
know some
past few years.
parts in the movie Run.
Mm-hmm.
There is a lot of similarities with Run. Like, there really is. And yes,
Mm,
Munchausen by Proxy, I do feel like Run is a little more dramatized, to like a thriller effect of it. But yeah, it does give the gist of what Munchausen by Proxy is, though.
yeah. Um, and you said how many siblings do you have?
I have 4 siblings total.
Okay, so there's five. Where are you in the order?
Second oldest. It was me and my oldest sister who were affected.
Do you think that you two were affected the most?
Yes. Well, so we always have a saying, me and my siblings, we all lived under the same roof, but all lived very different lives.
Mm,
Say my mom tried to say my little sister has something wrong with her ankles and try to get her in braces when she was a kid. I think that was part of what ended up starting to look suspicious. Some stuff that happened in Florida by reading some records and stuff. I think that's where some suspicion got in there as well. Because after we moved, it was just me and my older sister. And when we moved to a new state, me and my older sister had different doctors. Like, we'd never even saw the same doctors.
that's so bizarre.
Yeah, she like saw a completely different hospital group, completely different doctors. Like, our doctors never crossed.
And just like, and folks, think about how much effort that takes.
Oh,
Just to take one child to the doctor is a pain in the neck. But having to form a completely different team for all five of your children, um, is a full-time job in
so
itself.
my younger siblings rarely ever saw the doctor. They apparently were never like sick. They never had any issue. I remember my brothers; they were never at the doctor. My little sister a little bit, but they had like their pediatrician. They all saw. We did have me and my youngest siblings had the same pediatrician. My oldest sister did not. So us four had the same pediatrician, which makes sense. She had my older sister have somebody else because it was she had all different stuff. Where she only took my younger siblings for like minor things.
Mm-hmm.
I feel they were neglected in a lot of ways. I guess some would see me and my older sister as the favorite who got all the attention. Where I wouldn't say I was a favorite because the attention I got was definitely not the attention wanted. Like, being drugged up and stuff is not what I wanted. But my younger siblings were kind of forced to kind of grow up with each other, so they're a lot
Mm-hmm.
closer, especially my little sister and little brother. Um, that I don't know. I just feel like there wasn't any attention. It was all on me and my older sister, and like they got no attention and almost kind of took care of themselves.
Do you ever get envious of them?
No, because I feel like they live their own pain in a different way.
Yeah. I
It's like they,
Everyone, yeah.
yeah, they were neglected. Like, they didn't get time. Like, I don't know. It was just there's a lot of stuff. I just feel like it was a lot of different. I feel like they're envy of me in some ways, because they would have maybe felt like I got more of the attention.
Mm-hmm.
My mom, I do want to say, my mom even went as far as after I lost my leg, she made me mad because she started fundraising. Like, I have a Twitter account out there that's not me. It's like asking for money and donations to help Shriners Hospital and like other organizations. She would make up like she was raising money for organizations or places, and she was just keeping the money. And she would use me as being an amputee and that it was going towards me. Yeah, it's
You know
no,
what's weird? A lot of people do that
yeah.
who have, I don't know, they'll kind of do a bait and switch with fundraising. Really anything to, you know, fund their lifestyle or.
Nope, it definitely was that. And my mom never worked.
Yeah, I was
So
just gonna ask.
she never worked. She didn't even get her license until she was in her 30s. She was a terrifying driver. Like, it was, I had to, like, if I'm in the passenger seat, I have to make sure the right side is clear for her to get over. It was, I'm telling you, she was a terrifying driver.
Good God.
So
So
now
how,
I'm gonna tell you one of the craziest things she did, though, that
yes, I want to hear.
makes me mad to this day. So right before my leg was amputated, my mom took me into the tattoo shop, and she got a mold done of my foot, and she had my foot tattooed on the side of her leg. And some people might not find it weird to have your child's foot tattooed on them. It is weird when it's a 16-year-old foot and it's the foot that I had cut off. And now my footprint is on her leg. There is no other tattoos for any other kids, but my footprint is on the side of her fucking leg. Sorry, excuse my language.
No, it's go for the gold.
Put beach sand, and that is weird. I have to say that is weird. It always disturbed me. Yeah, she's like, but you're gonna lose your foot. I'm like, yeah, but why do you have my? I don't even know. I can't even begin to imagine just why.
Like, is it to scale? Like, it's like your real life sized foot, or is it like scaled down?
No, it's my real life size foot.
She's got a foot.
It is the exact foot.
She's got my literal foot.
My literal foot.
She like literally stole your foot.
She did. She has my footprint on the side of her leg.
So if people are just joining, Kate had something happen supposedly to her when she was a toddler, and had some dry skin on her foot, and her mother, who was suffering from Munchausen by proxy, forced her to do a number of really unnecessary and invasive medical procedures until it resulted in the below-the-knee amputation of her foot.
That is just the dry skin.
That's just dry skin.
Before all my surgeries, this is what I lost my foot because of. It's dry skin. And I have pictures of me. I have to go back through, but as a kid wearing flip-flops and stuff, it's not a kid that has a foot injury. Like, if I could wear flip-flops and do normal things, it's not somebody that needs to have their leg amputated. So once I became an EMT and I started working, my first EMT job was 18, all of the feet out there that were rotting off, I was always scratching my head confused. Like, they're trying to save this foot and people should see what mine got cut off for.
Yeah, for real. Like, honestly, because that's like, even though you had like the big hole in it, like, it looks pink and healthy and
healthy. It was all healthy.
Good circulation.
The hole that they cut out, so that eventually healed. Now I had hardly any padding left on my foot, I will say, but I still could walk fine. It didn't hurt to walk. It healed. That whole 6 months leading up to the amputation, I walked fine. Yeah, I have friends that would even say, like, friends that were there for me when I lost it, they'll say I walked completely fine after surgery. It did heal. It looked worse than what it did on the dry, like with the dry skin, but it was fine.
Yeah, I was going to ask, so, like, that was, like, with the wound vacs and everything, did it just look like a normal foot after that, or did you have kind of, like an indent?
An indent, still.
Okay. Like, but even still, like, you can live a perfectly normal life.
Oh, no, I was fine. Like I said, I was jumping off of, so just weeks before surgery, I was jumping off the bridge into Lake Hartwell, jumping off the rock quarry. It's like a mile to hike up to the rock quarry, all uphill. Like, I wasn't wearing a leg brace. I wasn't in a wheelchair. I wasn't using crutches. Nothing assisted. And where people always give me, it's like, you were 16. You had to know something was wrong. Oh, I did know something was wrong. But when your mother keeps having you committed to the psych ward and keeps adding to your mental health bio and keeps putting you on drugs that make you feel like a zombie, you get to a point you just stop fighting because nobody would listen to me. Child services wouldn't listen. She had an excuse, a lie for everything. She was a very good manipulator. And it just got to a point, I mean, there was nothing I could do or say, and I really got tired of being made out to be like a psychopath just because I was trying to make her decisions. And my body, but I felt like I had no say over it because I was a minor.
What were the series of events that led up to, like, you being admitted to a psych ward?
Just fighting against her, fighting against her. I had issues. They would call it Katie moments. Just me.
Awful.
Just here's like one of the events. Me and her got into a fight. She pushed me into a wall. I pushed her off of me. A broom fell over. She called the police on me and told them that I beat her with the broom. The broom didn't even touch her.
And so when did you find out that this is what was happening? Were you at like a doctor's appointment, or you were home?
I started suspecting at 16, but it all came like when I actually learned about my oldest sister and was first told about Munchausen by proxy. I started looking more into it. And at 18, when I just started seeing what they were trying to like save people for. And I got even more curious. So as soon as I turned 18, I was already working in EMS. I started as an EMS explorer before then, but I started getting records, all the records I could get. So I found some Department of Juvenile Justice records and things, and started putting pieces together. And it really wasn't until I started talking more on TikTok that I connected with neighbors and was able to put even more pieces together. But it's just been something that I've been working on for about the last 10 years of just putting stuff together. But I was trying to make contacts. Like I was contacting lawyers and people to just, I didn't want money or like to sue her or that sort of thing, but I wanted to know what I could do to get my truth out there. Because I mean, it's something that I have to deal with forever. As in like trying to afford prosthetics and things like that. And I am thankful that I have an organization that helps me now, but not everybody has that luxury. And I only found them in 2017. So before that, for 7 years, I had no assistance and I didn't get a run or have prosthetics that I needed because insurance wouldn't cover it. So I wanted to do something about it, but nobody would even take it. They're like, it's been too long. She wasn't caught in the act. Like, nobody would actually just take a look at all of my evidence that I put together and just basically say, yes, she is telling the truth. Yes, this happened. That's
Oh,
why I
I'm
was
so sorry.
because it's been hard because all I wanted was to just be confirmed on document that everything happened.
That this fucking happened.
And I can't get that. And it's been one of the most frustrating things because I've had like the Sun and some major news people reach out to me after a video went viral on TikTok. And then
Mm-hmm.
when they asked me if my mom was prosecuted, I say no. They say they can't run the story. And I'm like, why not? I have all of these medical documents. I have all of this evidence. I have pictures. I have neighbors. I have people that, were that went against my mom, that my mom cut them out of our lives as soon as they would try to stick up for us. Um, and it's still not enough. Like, I just hoping that one day I can get somebody to just say yes, like you're telling the truth and just prove it like on a document proof.
Well, if it's worth anything, yes, this happened. I'm saying it
Because
because
I'm the lies and people trying to say that
I
stuff was
know.
corrupt and like because I got told that they covered it up, child services lied, basically like bullied my parents into get like having to do inspections for years, and that's why I didn't see a doctor for so long. All the excuses, all the lies. And I'm like, I don't believe any of it anymore. I don't think any of that was true. I actually believe the documents, whether it was a cover up or not, which I highly doubt it. I believe the documents that I read more so than I believe what I've been told by my parents.
I don't blame you. I mean, like a big part of your formative years were like just being gaslit and you having to question your whole reality. I mean, that's like it's almost like a part of you now. And having to unlearn all of that, I'm sure is going to take a really long time. But I think that you're doing the work. You're doing the uncomfortable work and like you're fucking awesome.
Thank you.
Um, hell yeah. Hell fucking yeah, dude. Sorry, pardon my French. I'm sorry. Um, oh, there's something. What organization did you work for with, by the way? I wanted to ask.
So I don't work with them, but 50 Legs is an amazing charity that helps cover my prosthetic legs. If you guys never heard of them, they are out of Florida. I go down to Orlando, Florida, but they are the most amazing charity and they have saved my life. True reality. I was not able to run or anything before I met them. Since they've been in my life and I've been a part of the 50 Legs family, I have a high heel leg and I have a running leg. And I can
I love
finally
it.
be like who I wanted to be. I actually, because of 50 Legs, I got to go back to firefighting. I was
Oh,
a firefighter. I'm just not doing it right now because of time. I got to be active, get the job that I wanted. I may be leaving to Poland soon. It is not definite, but I could be going to Poland to help out with humanitarian aid over at the Ukraine border here in a couple of weeks with my work.
oh.
I
Hey,
got
you're the real deal. Oh my gosh.
started doing Spartan races. And then I actually got to compete in the Spartan Para World Championship in 2019 and was on ESPN doing that. So 50 Legs has drastically changed my life, and they're a great organization. So,
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, that just like made me swoon a little. I'm not even kidding. I'm so proud of you.
thank you.
Walking the walk and talking the talk.
I have to say, Hulk Hogan is one of the people who have really helped keep 50 Lakes open, especially during like COVID. There was people like Hulk Hogan and some other people that made sure 50 Lakes did not close, because there was one point we were scared because fundraisers got cut. A lot of nonprofits were closing down left and right, and we were
Hmm.
with 50 Lakes, but they made it stay open. They figured it out.
That's amazing. Oh, that's awesome. So what was the healing process like after the amputation?
Um, So I made it longer because I did not handle the amputation well. I did
Mm.
the healing stage way longer than it needed to be. So I will say right after surgery, I didn't want to go back to a wheelchair. I refused. They told me to go in a wheelchair. I said no. I was going to do it on crutches. Slipped and fell on my crutches, not once but twice. The second time I busted all the stitches open. Ended up getting an infection in there because I closed it back up and then it trapped bacteria and then it got super infected. That was like my first time with a wound back, and that was not my mom's fault. That was my fault because like I said, I busted all the stitches open. So after it got infected, they had to cut it all open, debris it, and then heal it with a wound vac. Oh, that my sorry, second time wearing the wound vac. Second time wearing the wound vac.
Oh my
Different.
gosh. And didn't you say you had like bone spurs?
Yeah. So I do not. I had the X-rays on my phone. So I actually have a bone spur off my fibula right now. As after I had my leg amputated, sometimes the bones will try to keep growing. This for anybody who has an amputation, and they grow what's called bone spurs. And I also get neuromas, which is where my nerves keep trying to grow, and instead they form like a mushroom top, and it becomes like a benign tumor essentially. It can be a little painful.
I didn't know that like nerves can regrow.
Yeah, so they try, but they don't succeed. So it becomes like it almost like a little benign tumor at the end. It's usually like the size of your thumb. So I've had
Oh,
to remove those. Like the revisions were just trying to cut out the neuromas and bone spurs.
Kate?
Oh, I have bone spurs on my heel too. I think for I can relate to this person with bone spurs. I have bone spurs on my heel, probably from running and just over time favoring my right side. But when they did that, they did tell me, but I won't have surgery on my right foot because I can't be down with this one too. But running with a blade, I come down really hard on my right foot, and I'm trying to teach myself not to do that.
So where is it? It's like mid shin.
Yeah, a little higher than that now, just a little higher than the shin. I would say hitting the bottom of your shin bone is a whole new experience.
Because
Did a few
getting
times.
kicked, if you've played soccer and you get kicked in the shin, that
Oh, it
I
hurts.
mean,
I tripped over like the first time I did. I tripped over my brother's basketball, and it landed like right on top of it. It hurts.
so how long was it before you felt okay to walk again?
October. So I lost my leg in June, and I started walking at Halloween in October. I could walk short distances.
Oh my gosh. And you were in a wheelchair until then? Or just
So
bed rest?
it
Because I know
took.
I know you wanted to.
So I didn't want the wheelchair. I used
I
crutches.
know.
I got infected, and I got put back on the wound vac. I got put in the wheelchair. And I had to use a walker. They took my crutches from me and gave me a stupid walker. And then I complained about the walkers with the baseballs on, or the tennis balls, whatever they are, not baseballs, tennis balls. I was like, this thing is so slow. I want a walker with four wheels. Once I got a walker with four wheels, I wanted the old one back because I actually fell on my face. The thing just rolled, and I couldn't figure out how to like brake and walk at the same.
Yeah. It just
I was like, yeah, give me the
yeah.
one tennis balls back.
You're like they're not that bad actually.
They're not. The four wheel ones are. I think they're great for people that can walk. Like if you're just walking with it, like pushing a buggy, how elderly people do well, and then use it to sit on, they're great for that. But if you're hopping around on one foot,
You
terrible.
literally were on one foot. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like you were.
it's like trying to multitask, like think about the hop and the break. It wasn't working. So and now
I'm reeling. I'm sorry.
and now they have this new thing, which I wish this was around when I had my leg amputated. Maybe it was, and I never knew about it. It's called an eye walk, and it's made for people who break their foot. But it's like those scooters, but instead it's a peg, so you can actually.
Yes,
That
totally.
amazing device that after my last revision, I got me. One of my amputee friends mailed me their eye walk. I love that thing. So when I can't wear my leg, I can still wear that, and I can still walk. I don't need crutches. I look like maybe like peg leg pirate, but since I still have my knee, I can actually use those. I just strap it down really tight. But it's just
Yeah.
people with broken feet.
No, I've seen those and they're like so clever. Like they just like it's almost like skipping, but I mean, I don't know, it's just so much more intuitive to use.
Well, those you can just walk around with it. It's like a
Yeah.
peg. They can get slippery, just like crutches can, though. But I would say it was much easier to catch my balance on that than my crutches slipping from under me.
You know what's weird? When I was a kid, I always wanted crutches. I don't know, I think that says bad things about me because I was always jealous of the person who had crutches because they got so much attention. And I was like, I want a pair of crutches.
I
And
was
then
on
I,
so much in school that I feel like kids stopped giving me attention because it just happened a lot when I started having surgeries. I was like,
poor thing. But there's that component. I mean, that we do. I mean, that you do have to acknowledge, not you, but in general, is like that's a big component of being sick. Is there's so much attention paid to people. Oftentimes it can be like adoration. Sometimes people can be jealous, like me and people with crutches.
yeah,
But I mean, yeah, and it can also like get a little resentful too. Like people can be mean to people who are um ill or
oh, most definitely.
suffering.
I got bullied so bad in school.
Isn't that weird?
I got bullied, but then I became the bully to my bullies.
Good.
I got removed from school, but yeah, I started fighting back. I wasn't very nice.
What kind of bullying? What would they say?
Once I got to, so we moved to South Carolina. I was a teenager. I started when we moved to South Carolina. I was in the sixth grade. That's about when surgery started. And sixth grade and seventh grade were hard years for me. Kids were mean. They bullied me for my leg. I mean, I got called a Peggy before I even lost my leg. I got called names. I got this one kid used to to push me down the bleachers or bump into me and knock me over. Uh, yeah. So trip me, I would get tripped. Just kids were cruel. I mean, kids were really cruel. So one day when I got to the eighth grade, the kid pushed me down the bleachers, and I chased him. He went into class. I didn't fall in there because we had last period together. So at the end of last class, I stood behind the door. When he came out, I punched him in the nose and broke his nose.
Fuck yeah, he deserved it. He had it
Yeah.
coming.
So I got suspended for that, and it just got to the point every time I got picked on, I just started fighting back, and I kept getting suspended, and I was surprised I passed eighth grade year. I was over it. I just wasn't gonna be bullied anymore.
No, I
And
don't blame you.
um, so yeah,
You
I
gotta
I
show. So much of this sounds like prison. Like, how like people say that like people go into prison and then they leave like they're not a prisoner or they're not like a convict, but then when they leave, like they're turned into like a psychopath by the time they leave. Like
yeah.
it sounds like I don't know. Like your foot was fine and then you went into the medical system and then they made it worse.
Yeah. And back then, paper records were a thing, so it was a lot easier to be like, oh shoot, I can't remember the name of that doctor, which is what she said a lot.
Yeah.
You don't know the doctor's name, they can't go call them for the records. They,
Well, and back then it wasn't like there wasn't Google. Well, there was, but like it
and we
wasn't
had like doc and stuff. Like we had, there like nothing was fast.
no, exactly. Yeah. And so, if you had kind of all of the medical jargon and you knew everything, I mean, doctors, you kind of do 80% of the work for doctors, you know? So
Well,
they just kind of jump off from there.
I feel like she did her research. I don't
Yeah.
know. People in Munchausen by proxy tend to research what they're like diagnosing their kids with,
Hmm.
the symptoms, to lie about the symptoms, to like just have it all. And people are like, they didn't run tests in your foot. I'm like, it's a foot. Like, what kind of test do you think there was to run? I mean, clearly there was something wrong, but my mom made it seem like there was something wrong. By X-rays, my bones were fine, but my mom kept insinuating something was wrong, and they saw this dry skin, and they just kept making it worse with surgeries.
Yeah, honestly.
But
So you,
still, I need to lose my leg. Like doctors try to save rotting feet, guys. Like feet that are legitimately rotting off, they will save those feet. My foot was still not at the point of amputation, even as it started to look so much worse.
can you talk about a little bit about the doctor who performed the procedure?
Um, I'll say he's young.
Hmm.
I will not put the doctor out there. I do know his name. I actually saw him again in 2017 at a conference. I will not put his name out there or the facilities, just simply because I haven't been able to get anybody to actually look into my case to put it out there. And I am just not trying to open up a door to a lot of like even everybody trying to bash like them or reaching out. Okay, I guess I'll say why. I've already had people reach out to my mother after I had a video. They found my information. They've already contacted my mother, and if and then people would come back like, you're lying. If anybody thinks that contacted my mother that she's going to be honest with you, you guys are really have no idea how much other by proxy works and not even looking into it
No,
because
honestly,
they're not.
attention is the last thing you want to give them, negative or positive.
So a bunch of people starting to reach out to her and stuff just made me think
Hmm.
it's not a good idea to start dropping names because I just fear that is what's going to happen, and I don't want that to happen to anybody. I mean, I know some people would blame the doctors, and maybe I should blame them more than I should. I know the master manipulator that my mom was, and I look at it.
Hmm.
Doctors are humans too,
Yep.
and I can only feel that they truly believe something was wrong and they were just trying to help me because that is what they thought they were doing. I did reach out to lawyers when I was younger. Like it's been years trying to I just wanted it proof that yes, it happened. That's all I wanted. I just wanted the recognition. I like that it happened, and basically, I don't know if I was looking for an apology. I just wanted the truth out. But it didn't go the way I'd planned because she wasn't caught in the act. So I really just kind of forgiven and let that go. But I don't want anybody to start harassing these people. So,
No, and I don't think that that's not what the goal of me asking. I guess it's
oh
just
no,
it's hard
I
to believe, like the
wonder.
circumstances, like when you say that like people try to salvage feet that are green and black, and you have this beautiful pink foot. It's hard to conceive of like what this doctor could have been thinking, and I think it's just a testament to like how the depths that your mom kind of went to make this happen,
Yeah.
you know? But I do want to add to anybody, I mean, as far as like people with Munchausen's or really anything or anyone telling their story, I mean, like, don't give them attention, positive or negative, because if they get positive attention, they're just going to get, that yummy endorphin rush. And if it's negative attention, they have an opportunity to play the victim. So just, it really doesn't work. Just ignore them. But, and I also think that, even if like a major news source doesn't pick up your story, it doesn't prevent you from being able to share your story. There's
Yeah.
so many outlets for you to be able to do that now, which is
Care if they took it or not. It was just frustrating the way they would ask for these interviews. They would put me through, I would have to, go through all of these events over and over. And it is hard to keep talking about these events, over and over. Telling them
totally.
only for them to be like, oh, she wasn't prosecuted. Yeah, we're not going to run the story. It's like, okay, why did we even do this interview? Like, we should.
I know, I'm surprised that they didn't like that wasn't like one of the first questions they asked you.
And she wasn't prosecuted because she wasn't caught in the act, and it wasn't for a lack of trying, for sure. There was many times child services were called. Neighbors, like I said, I have neighbors that tried to help, and like there was this one in particular. She ended up finding me on TikTok. My youngest brother and youngest sister were her kids' age. I was too old for her kids, but she used to teach me how to bake. She was a wonderful woman, and I used to go over there and bake with her while my little brother and little sister played with her kids. And one day, I just wasn't allowed to go over there anymore, and I didn't know why. But turns out they did contact child services, and they were trying to help us because they knew something was wrong. And
You said your mom just sweet talked them every time.
yeah, my mom, so child services, they always had a heads up. They always knew. So my sister used to have these padlocks on the outside of her door. My mom used to lock her up in her bedroom when we'd have like people over because
What the fuck?
she'd put the padlocks. So originally my sister put one lock on there because I would go in her room and steal her clothes. So she was trying to keep,
I
but
get that. But
yeah.
I don't know, that sounds
But my
super illegal for your parents to be able to do that.
there was a second one, and my mom ended up like locking her up in the room. So she used to smell really bad. And it wasn't until I became an EMT that I figured out why her feeding tube was always infected. My mom wasn't cleaning it. So feeding tubes, my mom had like this, she made it look like she had a whole pharmacy in her room. And she did have all these medical supplies, but my mom actually did not take care of my sister. Like you're supposed to as a caregiver. My mom was a very lazy person. And it wasn't until I was an EMT that I realized she smelled bad all the time because her feeding tube was messed up. And she always ended up in the hospital often. She was always there, and it was because she was getting sick from the feeding tube.
Oh my gosh.
Keep
I
replacing it. But if she smelled bad, my mom would actually lock her in the room. My sister used to love like the taste of food. My mom said she couldn't have real food. So I'm glad my older sister has no memory of this because she does not. We've talked about it. I unfortunately do though. But I used to push open, crack open the door. I couldn't break it open because of the locks, but I'd push it and sneak food through the cracks. Like especially if we had like dessert stuff like brownies, she would just want the taste of the food. So I would sneak it to her.
How far apart are you guys? You and your sister.
Me and my older sister are 4 years apart.
Oh my gosh. And she doesn't remember that?
My older sister was a lot more drugged than I was. She was on over a dozen medications. She was on morphine patches, Valium. Like she was sedated a lot. Where me, my mom used to take my sister's meds to sedate me when she felt like I was having that Katie moment. When it was just my Katie moments were me fighting against her, and she would drug me up, hold me down, and force Valium and stuff down my throat. But and then she had me on a bunch of psych drugs. It got to a point where she kept taking me back, saying that it wasn't working. They needed up it. Like I was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder and a bunch of things, and that she had me diagnosed with. They would keep putting up my medication, and it got to a point they're like, we can't anymore. It would like it's over for her weight. So I was really small, and they could only go so far before it was max weight. The drug she had me on, I really felt bad on them. From what I can remember, because there are parts that I don't remember that are just completely blacked out. Like there's parts of my life, even my teenage years, that are just blacked out for me.
Do you remember what you were on?
Um, High dose of Zoloft, um, uh, Seroquel, Fexer.
Oh
I don't know. There's a couple of different ones.
my gosh, and you were
I
a baby.
where I was. Oh yeah, I was on a lot of different ones. And then if I was extra anxious, angry, or um fighting against her, it would be Valium. She and my mom would actually sit on me, guys. She was a big woman. She would sit on top of me and force it down my throat. Because there was a little while I would start. I got away with it probably about 2-3 weeks before I got caught. But I used to take the meds, hide it under my tongue, and start flushing it down the toilet. But I got caught, and then I they were forced, and she had to see every time I took my meds. So
Oh my god.
yeah.
How is your sister doing now?
Well, she's good. She does have a childlike personality. It works well with her job, and I mean, it's not a bad personality to have. Like, it's just her unique personality, and she's a unique person. But my mom did make her believe that she had the mentality of a child her whole life, even as an adult. Very similar to Gypsy Rose. I would say her case is a lot more like Gypsy Rose's than my case. Um, but so that's where she gets that childlike personality. Right.
Oh, I'm so happy to hear she's doing well.
Yeah, she is. She got her master's in psychology.
Oh, dude, what a fucking, that's a success story, dude. That is like,
30s now, so yes. And she's married. She got married to her wife.
oh, good for her. Oh, I'm so happy. That's great.
She's super happy with her wife, and they are doing absolutely amazing. My daughter adores her, so she's actually the fun aunt. Since she's a big kid herself, she's the fun aunt.
Oh, good. There you
Yeah.
go. Yeah, my sister loves being an aunt. She's like, that's good for me. Um, so what are some signs that people should look out for if they suspect uh, MBP or Munchausen's by proxy?
It's a lot harder to get away with now, thankfully, for
Mm-hmm.
electronic records, and a lot of hospitals going to Epic. It's even hard for people to like drug seek anymore because if you guys don't know this, there is a system called Epic, and most hospitals are on it, especially the major ones. That basically, like my hospital here in North Carolina, I could see my records when I end up in the hospital in Orlando, Florida. Like it all interchanges now through Epic. So that does make it harder, but I will say the signs that you would look for would be they tend to not let their children talk. They almost micromanage everything. And if they do talk, they'll cut them off and almost speak, oh, you're not remembering it right, or oh, you're not saying it right. Or they'll make their own narrative. Um, they there's a difference between being like overly worried and it's to a point where it's so exaggerated that it's like just pure attention seeking. Like for my mom, one of the biggest signs was the attention seeking behavior got so bad, like they would be reaching out to all of the platforms, like any charity, church, anybody, within anywhere near to where she was living or anything she could get something free out of it, she'd be reaching out to those places. Oh, I have this sick daughter. We really need help right now. Like, I mean, there were several Christmases that we got tons and tons of presents, and they were just churches and places that she was just getting all this stuff from.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. They tend to immediately go for outlets like that and cry how sick their child is. Um, I don't I don't feel like normal people do that. Like they're more focused on their child and not what they can get out of it, I would say. Um, another another sign would be there's always something wrong with them. Like
Yeah.
even there's just always something wrong.
Yeah.
Like every time you turn around, there's something new that has happened, and I would say it's kind of like that. It's hard. No, it's harder to explain.
And I know that I know that if you suspect as like mandated reporters, if you suspect a sign of abuse, it's okay to report to like DCFS. Um but you have to have like some sort of like uh,
I
I
will.
know that yeah.
I do not have much faith in child services, but that's
I
just
don't either, but it's just if you see something,
one. I'll say that as an EMT, and I'll say that as somebody who child services always give a heads up and never listen to me, and always just took my mom's word for it. As long as you have running water, food in your fridge, you're pretty much golden. Like they don't care.
yeah.
You live in. And I have reported children that should be removed from homes as an EMT that I have seen in some very, very bad conditions. Nothing ever happened.
Nothing happened.
Running water and they have food, regardless if they are completely neglected. Um, it is hard, and I understand the foster systems, are over full, and they don't have places to put these kids, but it still doesn't excuse that children stay in these types of homes either. So I do not have much faith. I would say yes, report it, but I don't have much faith that anything, unfortunately, would come of it. I would say if you are a family member of somebody that you feel this is happening to, I would say try to make a complaint with, like, maybe if you know what doctor they go to, try to get a hold of like an office manager. Of course, due to HIPAA reasons, they're not going to be able to confirm or deny it. But if you put that word in their ear, I promise you it will go further than you might think it will. Even if they can't say anything because of HIPAA, doesn't mean that they will not take the mental note and actually look into it and start watching.
That's a very, very good word of advice. Yeah, absolutely. Because I'm sure there are other, you know, people who are possibly going through this or have, and they have no idea because their parent is gaslighting everybody and telling them that they're mentally incompetent.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just the tactics of manipulation are just so thorough, and I'm sure that it's part of it is the person who's experiencing it just feels so powerless.
Yeah.
Um, so, what else would you say if anybody is if they may feel like this is happening to them? Do you have any words of advice?
Yeah, if you feel like this is happening to you, I would definitely say don't stop speaking out. And I would say just, try to tell anybody you can, try to speak out about it. I didn't really have a lot of friends or a lot of people I could reach out to. Um, and the people that did recognize stuff was going on, I got removed from their lives pretty quickly. Um, I even end up homeschooled. So if you're end up in complete isolation if you try, but I would still say, by no matter what, just try to get some help if you just truly believe that you are going through this with somebody that has Munchausen by proxy.
So, in addition to the foundation in Florida, what's it called again?
Uh,
50 Legs?
Fund my life, yeah, 50 legs.
I love that.
Yeah.
What other resources have you found helpful to get you to where you are now?
Basically, 50 legs and prosthetics orthotics associates, my prosthetic clinic. They are just amazing. And I met them at a conference. Well, I met prosthetics orthotic associates, people at an amputee conference one year, and they actually connected me with 50 legs and had me flown out within 2 weeks of the conference for my new leg. So the conference was in Arizona, and we actually molded me. So I had met them there. I was on this really crappy prosthetic that was falling apart. I could not walk. Um, they were so excited to help me. They actually molded me in the bathtub in the hotel room. They did my mold, and then I heard the prosthetist, he held it on the plane all the way back to Florida and said that it would not break and made sure he took really good care of this mold the whole way back. And then I met them down there within 2 weeks, and they got me fitted for new legs. And shortly after that, I was running for the first time in 2019, and I also got my high heel leg.
Oh,
So it
that
um,
is that's class, is what that is.
it took almost a decade to be able to run and get get to wear heels and get to do the things that I had always wanted to do.
Yeah, that's something I wanted to ask. Because you seem to have such a good perspective on all of this, like, in such good insight. What are some things that helped you or that you do that kind of helps bring you peace in your life, that have helped you not fall victim to, that have helped you rise above the trauma
I would say
and
that's
help you heal?
recent. If I'm being completely honest, I am only more accepting and out of this victim state only within like the last 2.5, 3 years.
Hmm.
Um, I struggled a lot with a lot of depression, a lot of mental issues, like just my insecurities, a lot of issues for the years. I kind of went back and forth between, like, I've had issues with alcohol, and then I would like get off alcohol, and then I would I would have issues with using marijuana, heavy dose of it to just kind of use as escape. I never really got into hard drugs. That's something I always stayed away from. Maybe that was like the EMT in me. It was like, don't try stuff that might kill you kind of thing. I don't
Sure.
know, really get into that stuff, but I would say that I um, really used marijuana too excessively and just let myself go for a while. I do have a daughter that I've had to become strong for because I've realized that I don't want to make life hard on her. I want her to have the life that I didn't have. I have thankfully had a lot of help with her. Um, but I guess my tipping point was I ignored signs for narcissism in guys that I've dated. I have tended to find abusive partners until I got out of a victim mindset, which I'll discuss later. But it took being with one of the worst people in the world, my ex husband, who I was in, abused by my ex husband physically and emotionally.
Oh, I'm
Um,
sorry.
I I just narcissism was so I was so used to that growing up
Mhm.
that it became a norm that I would tend to date those type partners. I did that for a while. I mean, I have allowed people to abuse me from a teenager all the way to an adult, and I always still felt like it was my fault. I always still felt like I deserved it in some type of way.
Mm.
But after my ex-husband, I got to go through this program called Adaptive Training Foundation. I applied for it and I got accepted. I went out to Texas for 3 months. It was a workout program for adaptive athletes, but it was more than that. Like they offered a lot of like mental work, meditation, a lot of things. But one of the things that stuck with me, one day my trainer brought me into this room on a dry erase board and she drew this circle and she told me and she wrote these little things on it and was explaining me the victim cycle. And she told me I was stuck in this constant victim cycle and I would keep coming back around to being a victim, always being a victim, and whether that was being in abusive relationships or having bad friendships or not being able to like keep people in my life, some way shape or form I was always the victim. And it wasn't until I realized that I wasn't a victim anymore that that would stop. And
Mhm.
I had to finally realize that. And after I did start to know, and I mean I'm not perfect today, but after I did start realizing that, I did notice I started attracting better people into my life. Like I dated for the first time after my ex-husband. I had a really good boyfriend. I will say it ended after about 6 months of relationship. I would say it was more me and not him.
Mhm.
I actually noticed that I had an anxious attachment style that I've
Mhm.
adapted, and just fear of losing people. I
Sure.
developed anxious attachment style. I developed codependency, and he was my first healthy relationship. Um,
Mhm.
like what I've had in the past between my ex-husband and even relationships I had earlier on when I was a teenager, that I kind of took a lot of things for granted and I pushed him away. And I didn't handle it very well either. I was stuck in that codependency, and I've realized after everything, I have to continue to work on myself. I still have a lot of work I have to do on myself, but it's just the beginning. And I am doing better with time. Me and my daughter have a much better connection. Things are getting better with that, and just it's a lot to really explain. We would be here all night, but um, I it's taken a lot of time. But I've finally broken a lot of bad habits and continuing to do better every day.
I'm so proud of you. That's amazing. And I think that victim mentality thing is big. I was
Yeah,
in that too. I had that too. That's
but when
how I
you
was
stop it,
raised.
you're always gonna feel like
Hmm.
everybody is against you. You're gonna feel like the
Yeah.
world is against you, and some people don't realize it, but it's a thing that a lot of people can't break until they actually realize all the bad stuff. And it's not saying the bad stuff isn't actually happening to you, like it is, but it's almost like they say it as in if you're in a victim mentality, that's the energy you're gonna pull in.
Yeah, it's really like, and it's uncomfortable. It's not really like a pleasant thing to admit about yourself that like, I don't know, like am I really like acting like a victim? Like is thing are like this isn't my fault. Like but I don't know. It's weird. It's a
It is.
weird truth. It's weird things to confront about yourself.
It is. And I did realize I was a part of that though. Like I mean, there are definitely things that have happened that, truly happened. Um, like, even I'm not justifying the abuse for my husband or anything like that, but
Mhm.
I definitely, I guess I get that mindset was something that,
That's all you knew.
yeah. And
Like your brain seeks, it seeks what it knows. It wants to repeat its trauma.
yeah, pretty much. So
Our
I
dumb
was
brains,
surprised I
you
something would happen. And even, I'll tell you, my best friend told me not to marry my husband. She's like,
know.
her exact words were, I don't know what it is. He seems fine, but I feel like there's something wrong and I can't
Mm.
put my finger on it, but something is not right. And then when after everything happened, she's like, I told you so. She's like, don't want to say it, but I told you so.
You're like,
Um,
you were right.
so
So, before we go, do you have anything to say to other people who are survivors of Munchausen by proxy? Are there the resources where they can go? Any advice?
I would say the resources are hard because like the most of
Hmm.
the that I found like on Facebook groups and stuff is a lot of people they it's a really big focus on gypsy. So people
So
aren't
it's
really.
really more just like discussion forums.
It is. It's not a
Okay.
lot of those forms aren't even survivors of Munchausen by proxy. They're just people that are want to see gypsy free and they want to learn more about it, but
Mm,
kind of uncomfortable because you're like they don't understand and you're just trying to explain it and then you feel like stories are being picked apart and then like I don't know. It's to me it's not the best form. I really don't know because I have found few survivors on here. I know TikTok is becoming a bigger platform to share it, but I don't know because I don't feel like there is a lot of help for people with this because
I know,
a
I agree.
lot of people didn't even know about it.
Hmm.
And now, due to Gypsy Rose's story, I do even think there's people that might have found out that they were survivors of much other by proxy because of that story looking
Yeah,
back. But
yeah.
yeah, unfortunately that one's a hard one. Because I really don't know. I haven't found anything. I will say if you're a survivor of much other by proxy and need somebody to talk to, you can definitely talk to me. But
Hmm.
as far as like the forums and stuff, I would say I have not found anything good of them.
But you're going to start a support group soon, right?
I'm gonna try. I'm a busy, busy person.
I know you are.
um,
Full-time job and single mom. I know all about that. I
full time,
do. That's like it's like enough. That's plenty.
full time job, full time student, single mom.
Oh God. I didn't know you're a full-time student too.
Yeah, I'm working on my bachelor's degree.
Oh, that's a lot.
Yeah, so I may be taking this. So I just finished this past semester. I may be taking next semester off if I do end up going to Poland, but we will see. I do have a internet puck, so I do plan to still be on out there. Not sure how much how good my internet service will be to be on video, but if I can, I will be.
So what advice do you have to other people who have survived this? Or maybe going through some sort of abusive situation?
Um, just have a support system. Like try to find people you can trust that you can talk to that will actually listen to you. Um, like that's the best advice. Like just try to surround yourself with people that can help you. Um, and definitely always like look into like all your resources. I will say there were no resources in my county to get out of my abusive marriage, none. And I was told that it was actually waiting list with thousands of people because it's a high poverty area in an area that domestic violence occurs quite often. They didn't even have any room in the shelter. It ended up being UNC. I had to go in for a revision. They ended up connecting me with an organization. I ended up moving 2 hours away for help and I got help that I needed. So sometimes even like looking outside your counties, you can reach help. Definitely do not stay in abusive um, position, relationship, marriage, parents. Like get away from abuse. I will say there was a
Hmm.
part kind of wishes I would have stayed in moments when I felt like I was losing everything. But once you get independent, and it will feel like you are at rock bottom and it will never happen, but I promise you it will happen. If you try and you put your mind to it, it will happen.
Yeah.
I I would have never thought that I would be independent on my own, being able to take care of me and my daughter with no help. If you told me this 2 years ago when I was living in somebody's house that I didn't know, just using their spare bedroom, yeah, I would tell you it was never going to happen. So, but I found work and I got connected. And I found my jobs in very unique ways. Like one of my jobs, it was an amputee messaging the owner of my gym. It was an adaptive gym looking for other amputees, and they're like, "Hey, an amputee is looking for an amputee. Do you want to do this?" And I was like, "Sure." And I called them, and now I do role playing for the military as an amputee. So,
Yeah, guys. Her Instagram is so cool. Like a big and her TikTok. Like definitely follow Adaptive Kate because she has like the most interesting life. Like, and I'm sure people are going to wonder like where you get the secret sauce. Um, like you really have like such a great perspective and like you do such a great job of like rising to the occasion. But a lot of it is like really gnarly, crazy wounds and like crazy like special effects makeup on her leg because she like does almost like what role playing like for people like who have like a an injury, like a really profound leg injury. It's really cool. I stalked, just so you know. Like, and
okay.
I was like, oh, because I,
I
I
did
love that stuff.
go today, and I did delete a bunch of selfies. I don't know. Instagram is going to more of those things. Like the highlights are more important now, and like
I
nothing.
know.
I went through a lot of like my old posts and took some out. Like Instagram's being weird, so I guess I like shorter profiles better. So I did take out my selfies, but I left the cool stuff on there. If you go through my highlights, you can see like my moulage that I do, and I have some videos on my TikTok. One of them did go viral, of my
Yeah, I
makeup.
went super viral.
It did, and people were in there telling me that my leg's not really amputated or like it's not. It is real. Like there was other people from other countries. If you like translate, they're like, "It's real. It's not makeup." I'm like, yeah, everybody smiles when their leg gets blown off. You
I
caught me.
swear. I know. Like you're like really like I just don't feel
Oh, I got
pain.
banned though. So when they kept reporting the video, I got banned for TikTok for a couple weeks because of that video. And then when I came back, I found out that Newsweek did an article on it, but they did the article so bad. Like there was a comment on there that was complete sarcasm that Newsweek put in the article. If you guys get a chance, you have to read it. It's a very bad written article. But somebody said something about losing my leg, and they were trying to say how I lost my leg, and I said, yeah, because everybody loses their leg in a shark attack in military. Something super sarcastic, and they put that in the article. I was like, that was sarcasm.
You
That
know, I swear. What is
I was like, you guys never heard of sarcasm? Like, I'm not saying every amputee loses their leg to shark attacks and military, but if you read it, that is how it reads. I'm like, oh my gosh.
they put that in Newsweek?
Yeah, they did. And I didn't find out about the Newsweek article until 3 days after it was posted when I got back on TikTok and finally got let back in. People were like, hey, did you see you in Newsweek? I'm like, what are you talking about?
I know they're like, I'm sure you're like, of all the things that like they could have put in there, like all the things that I've said, that's what you put in there.
There is so many comments. I couldn't believe that was the comment they used. I was like, why? I was like, the reporter clearly does not understand sarcasm.
Obviously not. Um, well, you're amazing. So really quick, tell us your platform, what people get. Definitely, please go follow Adaptive Kate because her story is amazing, and it sounds like she might be in Poland soon, helping out with the Ukraine crisis.
I'm hoping
She is,
my fingers. We're gonna see if they let me get emergency passports. Cross my fingers.
yeah. So, but yeah, tell us TikTok, IG. Tell it, girl.
Right now I really only use TikTok and IG, but TikTok
Same.
at Adaptive Kate and IG is also the same at Adaptive Kate.
Yes. And you'll hear more about her story and about her really amazing life experiences um, as an amputee and all the things that she's able to accomplish in life. Single mom, EMT, full time student. I
Everyone's fun.
mean, you've,
My
you've
daughter.
got this. You've got the special sauce, honestly. Um, and I'm Ray Review. I tell stories that have to deal with a lot of fraud, a lot of people who experienced like Munchausen's, some true crime. You can follow me here. I have like no followers on Instagram, so hey, let's be friends. But I don't have like a huge thing on IG. And I also started a YouTube channel. I've uploaded all of my videos onto YouTube if you want to watch them that way, because they're usually pretty long. I would appreciate it so much if you liked and subscribed. That would be great. To my YouTube channel and like me on Instagram. And I will post this interview on YouTube as well, in case you couldn't stick around for the whole thing. Thank you again, adaptivekate. You're amazing. And I'm sure we'll talk again soon.
Yep, no problem. All right.
Okay. Have a good night.
You. Bye.
Bye.